Letting go is not just a decision. It is a profound shift that ripples through your entire being. It is not a simple act, but a transformation that takes root in the depths of your consciousness. Carl Jung spent his life exploring the hidden recesses of the human psyche, uncovering that releasing something is not merely about moving on. It is an inner revolution that reshapes the mind from within. Think about it. Throughout life, we accumulate relationships, habits, beliefs, and emotions that may no longer serve us. Yet, we cling to them out of fear, routine, or the illusion of control. Jung believed that this resistance doesn't just hold us back. It distances us from our true essence. It's like carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones, making each step harder on a path that requires lightness. The unconscious plays a crucial role in this process. It is the deep reservoir within us that stores unprocessed emotions, past experiences, and hidden wounds. Jung argued that when we ignore the inner voice warning us that something is off, we create internal tension. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of freeing stored energy, allowing our authentic self to emerge. Consider the times when you sensed that something was draining you, but held on anyway. Maybe it was a relationship that looked perfect on the surface, but left you feeling empty, or a job that felt secure, but stripped you of joy. What happened when you finally walked away? That immediate sense of relief, of weight being lifted, is just the beginning. However, letting go is not simply about leaving something behind. According to Jung, it initiates an internal restructuring. This shift doesn't happen overnight, as the unconscious operates through symbols, emotions, and dreams that take time to integrate. It's like a river that starts flowing again after being blocked. Once the barriers are removed, life begins to move in a more natural and aligned direction. But here's the real question. Why is it so difficult to let go? Jung's theory points to the concept of the shadow, the hidden part of ourselves that we avoid, suppress, or deny. This shadow may hold fears, guilt, insecurities, or even pride. We resist letting go not because of the thing itself, but because of what it forces us to confront within ourselves. For example, staying in an unhealthy relationship might not be about the other person, but about a fear of being alone or belief that you're not worthy of something better. These fears are not external. They stem from unexamined parts of your psyche. Letting go, in this sense, is not just an act of courage. It is an invitation to look inward, to face what is hidden, and to reclaim your power. Jung taught that the shadow does not disappear by being ignored. In fact, it grows stronger, manifesting in repeated patterns, relationships, and choices. True release requires acknowledging this hidden self, embracing it, and integrating it. It is not an easy journey, but it is the path to real growth. Once you face these suppressed aspects of yourself and release what no longer aligns with you, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your perception of the world transforms. It is as if life itself starts to synchronize with your inner truth, opening doors that once seemed shut. This is not magic. It is a natural result of being in harmony with your deepest self. And this is the key. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about trusting. Trusting that by releasing what no longer belongs to you, you are making room for something greater. It is an act of self-honor, an acknowledgement that you do not need to carry burdens that are not yours. When you choose to let go, you are not just freeing physical or emotional space. You're sending a powerful message to yourself. I am ready for something new. It is like opening a window in a room that had been closed for years, allowing fresh air to breathe life into the space. This seemingly simple act has a deep impact, transforming you at every level of your being. Carl Jung argued that the external world is merely a reflection of your inner reality. Everything you experience is, in large part, a projection of what lies within you. So, when you choose to let go, what you're actually doing is realigning that projection. You're allowing yourself to see the world through a new lens, shedding the distortions imposed by fear and insecurity. Have you ever wondered why certain people, situations, or relationships seem to drain you endlessly? Jung explained that this happens because those connections are not in harmony with your true self. Clinging to them means ignoring the signals from your unconscious, urging you to pay attention. But when you finally decide to release them, something shifts. It's as if you're closing a door that was keeping your energy trapped, allowing it to flow freely toward what truly matters. However, this process isn't always easy. Letting go can leave you with a sense of emptiness, a void that can be unsettling. That fear of emptiness is natural. We are conditioned to fill it with external distractions, people, possessions, routines. Yet, Jung taught that this void is not something to fear. On the contrary, it is a sacred space, an opening for something new to emerge. It is like a blank canvas, waiting to be painted with richer, more vibrant colors. Think back to the last time you had to release something significant, a relationship that no longer served you, a dream that once fueled you but no longer resonated. In those moments, it's easy to feel like you're losing something irreplaceable. But with time, you realize that what you gained was far more valuable: clarity, peace, and a renewed sense of purpose. Jung believed that this kind of transformation is never accidental. It is the outcome of deep, conscious inner work. Choosing to let go is engaging in a dialogue with your unconscious, confronting your shadows, and allowing them to surface. It can be challenging, but it is also profoundly liberating. As you release, you start to notice subtle yet significant changes in your surroundings. Relationships that once seemed essential fade away, making space for new, more authentic connections that align with who you are becoming. This isn't random. It's the law of synchronicity, one of Jung's most intriguing concepts. Synchronicity occurs when external events mirror your internal state, as if the universe is responding to your decision to live in alignment with your truth. A classic example is the phenomenon of new opportunities appearing once you let go of something that held you back. Maybe you meet someone who shares your values, land a job that fulfills you, or rediscover a long-lost passion. These experiences aren't coincidences. They are signs that you are in tune with yourself. Reaching this point takes courage. It means asking yourself difficult questions. What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Why is it so hard to let go? What part of me is afraid to release it? These reflections not only deepen your self-awareness, but also pave the way for real transformation. Ultimately, releasing something isn't just about letting go. It's about making room for what truly resonates with your soul. It's a profound act of self-respect, a testament to your trust in life's natural rhythm, and a declaration of your willingness to evolve. Living from this place of truth shifts everything. The universe responds in ways beyond logic, revealing new opportunities and unseen pathways. There's a deep power in surrendering. It is an acknowledgement that not everything is meant to be controlled, because life itself knows how to reorganize and realign. When we stop clinging to what no longer serves us, as Carl Jung suggested, we not only transform our present, but also unlock suppressed energies that reconnect us to the core of our psyche, our authenticity. The unconscious, a vast and mysterious realm that Jung devoted his life to understanding, communicates through symbols, emotions, and dreams. When you choose to let go of something weighing you down, you send a direct signal to your unconscious. You are ready to grow. But transformation rarely occurs without resistance. Often our ego, the part of us that craves stability and control, resists the idea of release. This is where deep self-exploration becomes essential. Jung encouraged us to confront our shadow, the hidden aspect of ourselves that we rather ignore. When we release attachments, we inevitably come face-to-face with this shadow. You might realize that your attachment to an unfulfilling relationship stems from a fear of loneliness, or that your reluctance to change careers is tied to a deep need for external validation. These realizations are rarely comfortable, but they are necessary. By acknowledging them, you begin to integrate them, and within that integration lies your true strength. Something remarkable happens when we finally let go. The fears that once seemed overwhelming begin to dissolve. This is because releasing what no longer belongs to us also frees the emotional energy trapped in that attachment. That energy, once stagnant, now becomes the force that fuels our intuition, creativity, and ability to make decisions aligned with our true essence. Jung believed that this release of energy was crucial for connecting with the self, the deepest, most complete version of who we are. As we shed the layers of conditioning and societal expectations, we move closer to a state of wholeness. But how do we know if we are on the right path? According to Jung, the answer lies in synchronicity, the phenomenon where external events align meaningfully with our inner world. These are not mere coincidences. They are signs that we are in harmony with life's greater flow. Perhaps you've thought of someone only to receive a message from them moments later. Maybe you finally walked away from a toxic situation and suddenly new, uplifting connections enter your life. These experiences are not random. They reflect your internal alignment. However, this journey is not without its challenges. Letting go often leads to periods of uncertainty where you question whether you made the right choice. This is natural. Change is always accompanied by a transition, a space where the old no longer exists but the new is yet to fully arrive. But this space is not empty. It is fertile ground for growth. Jung described this process as alchemical. Just as ancient alchemists sought to transform lead into gold, we transform our wounds and limitations into wisdom and personal power when we release what no longer serves us. This transformation takes time, as deep change never happens overnight. But with each step forward, you move closer to a life of authenticity and fulfillment. As you experience the benefits of letting go, you begin to notice that it doesn't just change your relationship with yourself. It also reshapes your connections with others. The people who once drained your energy fade away, making room for relationships that align with your truth. Life doesn't become perfect, but it does become real. And in that authenticity, you discover a peace that cannot be bought, forced, or faked, only lived. You realize that control is not a prerequisite for security. Instead, you learn to trust life, understanding that chaos is not inherently negative, but rather a catalyst for transformation. Jung believed that chaos precedes order, so instead of resisting change, you begin to embrace it. No matter how unsettling it may seem, every shift is guiding you towards something greater. When you adopt this mindset, you naturally attract abundance, peace, and opportunities, not because you're chasing them, but because your energy has shifted. You are no longer trapped in cycles of fear and attachment. Instead, you move through life with confidence, openness, and authenticity, and that energy is magnetic to the universe. As you align with your true self, an extraordinary shift occurs. Your perception of reality transforms. What once seemed chaotic, confusing, or painful now begins to reveal its deeper meaning. Jung referred to this as awakening to the wholeness of a psyche. Letting go of what no longer resonates with you not only creates space for new, but also allows the most profound aspects of your being to emerge with clarity. This is a moment of transformation, almost mystical in nature. Suddenly, opportunities arise at precisely the right time, the right people cross your path, and the answers you once sought externally begin to surface from within. This is not mere coincidence. It is a natural outcome of aligning with your truth. Jung described the state as a harmonious balance between the conscious and the unconscious, where both work together seamlessly. However, this journey is not without its trials. Along the way, you may face doubts and feel tempted to retreat into the familiar, the comfortable. The ego, that part of you that fears losing control, may whisper that letting go too quickly is risky, that perhaps you should hold on just a little longer. This is where true strength comes into play. Jung believed that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it and move forward despite it. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if you completely released everything that holds you back. Think of the space you would create, not only in your external world, but also in your mind and heart. That newfound space would fill with clarity, inspiration, and boundless potential. It would feel as though, by surrendering, you are reconnecting with the infinite source of creativity and power within you. Letting go also has a profound effect on relationships. Jung suggested that our connections with others serve as mirrors of our inner world. If you cling to relationships that do not serve you, it may be a reflection of unhealed wounds, perhaps a lack of self-love or fear of being alone. But when you make the choice to release those connections, you are not just freeing yourself from emotional burdens. You are sending a powerful message to the universe that you are ready for deeper, more meaningful bonds. The relationships that enter your life after you let go tend to carry a different energy. They are lighter, more fulfilling, and based on reciprocity rather than dependence. These connections do not ask you to change who you are to fit in. Instead, they inspire you to be more fully yourself. Something else happens when you let go. You begin to reconnect with your dreams. Those dreams that you had set aside, dismissed as unrealistic or abandoned because life got in the way, suddenly resurface. By shedding the weight of what no longer serves you, you regain the courage and energy to envision what you truly desire, and more importantly, to take action toward it. Jung emphasized that personal transformation is not a final destination, but an ongoing process. Each time you release something that no longer aligns with you, you take another step toward wholeness. That does not mean the path is linear. There will be moments of uncertainty, setbacks, even pain. But each of these moments serves a purpose. To teach you something new about yourself, to help you integrate the parts of you that have long been hidden. In this process, self-compassion is essential. To be kind to yourself means accepting that you do not have all the answers, understanding that mistakes are part of growth, and acknowledging that it is okay to feel fear or sadness. These emotions are not signs of failure. They are proof that you are fully experiencing the human journey. By allowing yourself to feel them, you also give yourself permission to heal. The result of this deep inner work is a life that feels more authentic, more aligned with who you truly are. You no longer seek validation from the outside world because you have found acceptance within. You no longer feel the need to control every detail because you trust in the flow of life. And you no longer cling to what is not meant for you because you understand that what is truly yours will always find its way back to you. Carl Jung recognized that true freedom is not something we find outside ourselves, but rather a state we cultivate within. It emerges when we break free from the invisible chains of fear, guilt, and attachment, choosing instead to live with authenticity and trust. When you embrace this path, you don't just transform your own life, you influence the world around you. Every act of self-honesty sparks a ripple effect, inspiring others to do the same and creating a wave of transformation that extends far beyond you. Living in alignment with your truth initiates a profound shift, not just internally, but in how you engage with the world. Jung believed that those who embrace their inner shadows and fully integrate their true essence develop a powerful presence, an energy that doesn't need words to be understood. This happens because by letting go, you stop battling yourself and resisting life. You begin to flow effortlessly, becoming someone who moves with confidence, inspires naturally, and acts from a place of deep truth. Think about this. Every time you hold on to something that no longer serves you, whether it's a relationship, a limiting belief, or a deep-seated fear, you are expending an enormous amount of energy. Instead of channeling that energy into creativity, joy, or new possibilities, it becomes trapped in maintaining what is already obsolete. The moment you release it, you reclaim that energy, allowing yourself to build a life that genuinely reflects your deepest values. Jung described this state as a return to wholeness. He believed that within each of us lies an infinite source of wisdom, a sacred connection to something greater. However, this connection is often buried beneath layers of conditioning acquired throughout life. The process of letting go gradually dissolves these layers, revealing your true self. In this state of clarity, you no longer live according to external expectations, but instead from the core of who you really are. That doesn't mean that releasing will make life effortless or that challenges will disappear. Difficulties will still arise, but your relationship with them will change. No longer will obstacles feel like enemies. Instead, they will become opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Jung suggested that what irritates us in others can actually serve as a mirror, offering a deeper understanding of ourselves. This perspective shift is one of the most profound gifts that come from letting go. One of the most beautiful transformations that occurs through release is the awakening of intuition, that quiet inner voice, so often drowned out by the noise of the external world, begins to grow stronger. It's as if clearing your internal space allows you to hear with greater clarity what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. This intuition becomes your compass, guiding you toward relationships, choices, and experiences that truly align with your purpose. With this deeper connection also comes an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for the joyful moments, but also for the struggles that have shaped you. Jung believed that enlightenment is not achieved by imagining beams of light, but by bringing awareness to the darkness within. This idea encourages us to see our shadows, mistakes, and losses not as burdens, but as essential pieces of the puzzle that forms our life. Imagine, for instance, that you spent years in a relationship that made you question your worth. At the time, it might have felt like an unbearable weight, something that drained your energy and clouded your sense of self. But now, looking back, you can recognize how that experience shaped you. It taught you the value of setting boundaries, honoring your self-worth, and prioritizing your well-being. Letting go of that relationship was not just about creating space in your life. It was a catalyst for growth, a necessary step that prepared you for something greater. Jung also spoke of the importance of archetypes in this process. When you choose to release, you awaken and explore within the part of you that is willing to venture into the unknown with courage and curiosity. This inner explorer does not fear change. Instead, it welcomes transformation as an opportunity to uncover new aspects of the self and the world. By embracing this mindset, fear dissolves into excitement and uncertainty transforms into endless possibilities. But it's important to understand that letting go is not a single event. It is an ongoing practice, a daily commitment to examining what you are holding on to and questioning whether it still serves you. Sometimes, letting go means walking away from a relationship. Other times, it is about shedding a limiting belief, releasing an unhelpful habit, or shifting a perspective that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Every small act of release, no matter how insignificant it may seem, brings you closer to your truest self. The most powerful aspect of this process is that as you live with authenticity, you become a guiding light for others. Jung once said, "He who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens." And when you awaken, you unconsciously inspire those around you to do the same. This brings us to an essential question. What could you create if you let go of everything that no longer serves you? What relationships, projects, or dreams could you manifest if you stopped carrying the weight of the past? These questions are more than just food for thought. They are reminders of the limitless potential you hold within. Jung taught that real transformation does not happen outside of us, but deep within our psyche. When you release, you're not just breaking free from the past. You're opening yourself to a future filled with new opportunities. You are choosing to live from a place of trust, connection, and authenticity. And while this choice may seem simple, it carries the power to change everything. Ultimately, letting go is not just about freedom. It is an act of courage. It is the realization that you do not need to cling to anything that no longer aligns with your growth. True transformation begins within, by facing your shadows, integrating your emotions, and trusting in the unfolding of life. As you release, you are not only breaking the chains of the past, you are making space for the new, the meaningful, and the aligned find their way to you. This journey is not always easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. It is a path toward wholeness, where every choice, every connection, and every experience resonates with your deepest truth. And in doing so, you do not just transform your own life. You inspire others to do the same. Because when you shine, you encourage those around you to step into their own light. So now, I invite you to reflect. What are you holding on to that no longer aligns with you? What could you gain if you had the courage to release it today? This is your moment. Within you lies everything you need to create a life that reflects your authenticity, your purpose, and your connection to the universe. And so, as you stand at this crossroads, remember, you have the power to create a life that aligns with your truth, your purpose, and your highest potential. Every step you take toward letting go is a step toward the life you were meant to live. Trust yourself, embrace the journey, and know that the universe is always guiding you towards something greater. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe and join this journey of transformation and self-discovery. Together, we rise, we evolve, and we create the lives we truly deserve. Your next chapter begins now. Letting go of someone is one of the hardest decisions we can make in life. No matter how aware we are that it is the best choice for us, there's always something inside us that resists, that pulls us back, and keeps us tied. Carl Jung, the visionary who transformed modern psychology, offered us a fascinating perspective on this process, showing us that letting go is not just an act of renunciation, but a profound spiritual movement that allows us to reconnect with our essence. Think of a relationship that deeply marked you, whether for better or worse. That connection, according to Jung, was not a coincidence. Every person who enters our life is a mirror, a reflection of something we carry within us but may not have recognized. But here's the key. When that relationship no longer brings us peace, when it becomes a constant source of conflict, it is our unconscious that begins to send us signals. Those feelings of discomfort, of emotional exhaustion, are not coincidences. They are a call to let go, to release what no longer resonates with our being. Jung taught us that our unconscious is in constant communication with us, but we rarely listen. Instead of paying attention to those signals, we choose to ignore them, clinging to what is familiar, even if it is destroying us. We hold on because we fear what might come next, the emptiness we believe that person will leave behind. But what if that emptiness was not something to fear, but a sacred space where something much more authentic can bloom? Imagine for a moment that you are carrying a heavy backpack. Each day, you add something else: resentments, expectations, fears. That backpack represents the relationships that do not let you grow, the attachments that hold you back. And one day, you realize you can no longer take another step because the weight is unbearable. That is the moment when you decide to let go, not because you want to forget, not because you hate that person, but because you love your peace more than anything else. Letting go of someone does not mean that person disappears from your life or your memories. It means releasing the energy you have invested in something that is no longer aligned with you. It means giving your soul space to breathe, to expand, and to reconnect with what truly matters. It is an act of courage, of self-love, and above all, of trust that the universe has something better in store for you. Have you ever noticed that after letting go of a difficult relationship, you start to feel lighter, clearer, as if suddenly the world has more color? That is no coincidence. Jung believed that by releasing what does not belong to us, we create space for something new to enter our lives. This new energy can take the form of people, opportunities, or even a deeper understanding of ourselves. When you decide to let go, you are not only freeing the other person, you are also freeing yourself. Because many times, what binds us is not the person itself, but the emotions, memories, and projections we have placed on them. Jung said that every significant relationship is filled with symbols, and it is those symbols that truly affect us. By letting go, you are breaking those invisible chains and allowing your energy to flow freely. The key to letting go lies in looking inward. It is within us that we find the answers, the lessons, and the strength to move forward. But this is not easy. It requires facing our shadows, those parts of ourselves we would rather not see. Jung showed us that shadows are not something to fear, but an essential part of our being that needs to be integrated. And by doing so, we not only grow, but also find a peace that transcends what we once thought possible. When you decide to let go, something magical happens. It's as if the universe starts conspiring in your favor. The right people begin to appear in your life. The opportunities that once seemed unreachable are now within your grasp. And most importantly, you start to feel at peace with yourself. This is the true spiritual transformation that Jung spoke about. A return to your authenticity, your essence, that place within you where you've always known what's best for you. And although the path isn't easy, I guarantee it's worth it, because letting go doesn't mean losing. It means gaining something far more valuable: yourself. As you move forward in the process of letting go, you start to notice something curious. The initial resistance you felt begins to transform into clarity. That same relationship that once seemed essential now looks different, almost as if you were observing it from the outside. This happens because the act of letting go not only releases the other person, but also unlocks parts of yourself that were trapped. It's as if your energy, creativity, and ability to dream come back to life. Carl Jung said that true fulfillment isn't found in external things, but in internal work. And letting go is precisely that: internal work. No matter how much you try to change someone else or shape a relationship to fit your expectations, true transformation happens when you decide to change, when you choose to let go. This process won't always be linear. There will be days when you feel strong and confident, and others when you doubt your decision. But here's the secret: those doubts aren't an obstacle. They are part of the journey. Jung taught that personal growth always involves facing the unknown, that part of ourselves we haven't explored. And it's in that exploration where magic happens. By letting go, you realize something fundamental. Peace isn't something someone else can give you, nor is it something you can find outside of yourself. Peace is a choice, a state of being that comes from accepting things as they are and trusting that the universe always has a greater plan for you. Jung called the synchronicity the phenomenon where things seem to align perfectly. When you're in tune with yourself, you may wonder, how do I know if I really need to let someone go? The answer isn't in logic or in what others tell you. The answer lies in your intuition, that inner voice that sometimes whispers and other times we completely ignore. Jung believed our intuition is one of the most powerful channels for communicating with our unconscious. And if you feel that something no longer fits, that something no longer flows, that's your intuition speaking to you. However, it's not enough just to listen. You must act. This is where many of us fail. We cling to the familiar because we believe that letting go means failing. But that's not true. Letting go is the greatest act of courage you can take. It's telling the universe, I trust that what's coming will be better than what I'm leaving behind. And when you make that decision, doors begin to open. An interesting phenomenon Jung explored was how our energy changes after letting go. It's as if the chains that kept us bound break, allowing us to move forward into new experiences, relationships, and opportunities. But here's the most important thing. By freeing someone, you also free yourself. And in that space of freedom, you begin to reconnect with parts of yourself that you had forgotten. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you shaped your behavior, your dreams, or even your identity to fit into a relationship? How many times have you set aside your own desires for fear of losing someone? Jung would say that every time we do that, we move further away from our authenticity. And in the end, that disconnection takes a toll in the form of dissatisfaction, stress, or even illness. Letting go is not about abandoning or giving up. It is an act of self-love. It is recognizing that to be whole, you do not need anyone else to fill the voids within you. It is granting yourself permission to be who you truly are without seeking approval or offering apologies. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You begin to attract people and experiences that align with your true essence. The universe has a curious way of rewarding those who dare to let go. You may not see it immediately, but the signs will be there, an unexpected opportunity, a friendship that arises out of nowhere, or even a moment of peace that completely fills you. These are the ways in which the universe responds when you choose to trust in its flow. When you finally manage to let go, something profound begins to shift within you. That constant weight, that tension that seemed to drain all your energy, starts to fade. In its place, a sense of lightness emerges, as if you can finally take a deep breath after a long time. Jung described this transformation as a reconnection with your true essence, a return to the state of balance that we all carry within us, but often forget amidst the noise of toxic or unfulfilling relationships. It is crucial to understand that this process is not about forgetting someone or erasing their impact on your life. On the contrary, letting go means honoring what that person represented for you, being grateful for the lessons they left behind, and then allowing that connection to transform. Jung believed that every meaningful relationship serves as a kind of teacher, a guide that helps us discover aspects of ourselves that we might not have otherwise recognized. However, the true power of letting go does not lie in what you release, but in what you do with the space that remains. Often, the emptiness we fear so much is actually a blank canvas, an opportunity to rediscover who we are and what we truly want. But to seize it, we must be willing to look within, to explore the shadows that Jung considered essential for personal growth. These shadows, the parts of ourselves we prefer to avoid, are often the ones most activated in relationships. Perhaps you have noticed that certain people seem to bring out the worst in you, or that certain patterns repeat themselves over and over. Jung explained that this happens because those people and situations act as mirrors, reflecting aspects of our psyche that we need to integrate. Letting go, then, is not just an act of external release, but also a means of internal healing. Imagine you are in a river. If you cling to a rock out of fear of the current, you will remain stuck, unable to move forward. But if you decide to let go, although at first you may feel uncertain, you will soon discover that the river carries you toward new landscapes, toward calmer waters filled with possibilities. This is how life works. When you dare to let go, the natural flow of things begins to guide you toward what you truly need. And this is where something magical happens. When you stop resisting, when you choose to trust the process, the universe responds. Jung called it synchronicity, those moments when everything seems to align perfectly as if the universe were guiding you toward the right path. Perhaps you meet someone who shares your values, or maybe an opportunity arises that feels tailor-made for you. These are not coincidences. They are signs that you are in harmony with your purpose. Letting go is not something that happens overnight. It is a process, a journey that requires patience and compassion with yourself. There will be days when you feel strong and confident in your decision, and others when doubts and memories resurface. But even in those moments of uncertainty, remember this. Every step you take toward your authenticity is a step toward a fuller and more meaningful life. Jung taught us that true fulfillment is not found in avoiding pain, but in facing it, learning from it, and allowing it to transform us. Letting go of someone can be painful, but it is also profoundly liberating. It serves as a reminder that you do not need to hold on to what no longer resonates with you, that you deserve a life filled with peace, authenticity, and true love. When you finally let go, you are not just freeing the other person. You are also releasing the version of yourself that was trapped in that relationship. You reclaim your power, your energy, and your ability to dream. And in that process, you realize something incredible. You have always had everything you need to be happy. You just had to let go of what was preventing you from seeing it. The process of letting go also confronts us with one of the most important lessons Carl Jung shared, the power of self-acceptance. Many times, the attachment we feel towards someone is not solely about love or affection, but rather a deeper need to fill an internal void. We love because, at some level, we believe that without that person, we are not enough, that our identity is incomplete. But Jung taught us that everything we seek outside is already within us. When you decide to let go, you begin to see things with greater clarity. You realize that the relationship you once thought was essential was, in many cases, merely reflecting your own fears and insecurities. That need for validation, approval, or a sense of completeness does not come from the other person. It comes from within you. And by letting go, you give yourself the greatest gift, the opportunity to work on yourself and discover that you are whole just as you are. This realization is not always easy. Jung spoke about the concept of the shadow, that part of us that contains everything we prefer not to see. When letting go of someone, especially someone with whom we shared a deep connection, that shadow often rises to the surface. You may feel fear, sadness, or even anger. But these emotions are not your enemies. They are messengers, signals that something within you needs to be acknowledged and healed. This is why letting go is not just an act of releasing another person. It is an act of facing yourself. And in that confrontation, you discover a strength you did not know you had. You realize that you can feel pain and still move forward, that you can lose something important and still find peace. This is one of Jung's deepest teachings. The resilience of the human soul, our ability to transform even in the darkest moments. It is common that, when letting go, you experience what Jung called the dark night of the soul, a period of uncertainty, of deep introspection, where it seems like everything you knew is falling apart. But this dark night is not the end. It is the prelude to a rebirth, an awakening that leads you to a more authentic version of yourself. Because in that darkness, you learn to trust yourself, to listen to yourself, and to find your own light. And when you emerge on the other side, something beautiful happens. You realize that letting go is not a loss, but a gain. You gain clarity, you gain freedom, and most importantly, you gained a deeper connection with yourself. This is the gift Carl Jung wanted us all to discover. The ability to live a life in alignment with our truth, free from the chains of attachments that limit us. The relationships that truly matter, the ones aligned with your essence, do not make you feel less. They do not ask you to sacrifice your authenticity. On the contrary, they inspire you to be more yourself, to grow, to explore your potential. And when you choose to let go of what no longer fits, you open the door for these true connections to enter your life. Jung also spoke to us about synchronicity, that phenomenon where things seem to align perfectly and magically. When you release what no longer serves you, you create space for these synchronicities to occur. It is as if the universe rewards your courage by bringing exactly what you need into your life at the right moment. You may not see it immediately, but over time, you will realize that every step you took was part of a greater plan. This process leads you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world. You no longer feel trapped in repetitive patterns or relationships that drain you. Now, you have the freedom to choose from a place of self-love and authenticity, and that freedom is transformative. As you move forward on this path of letting go, you begin to notice how your energy shifts. That constant feeling of exhaustion, that internal struggle to hold on to something that no longer resonates with you, starts to fade. In its place, a new vitality arises, a lightness that allows you to focus on what truly matters, your connection with yourself and the deeper purpose of your life. Jung spoke of how our psychic energy redistributes when we stop investing in things that are not aligned with our truth. By letting go, you release that energy, and what once seemed impossible, dreaming, creating, feeling fulfilled, now begins to flow naturally. This is not just an emotional shift. It is a spiritual transformation that affects every aspect of your life. At this point, many people experience something Jung described as the integration of shadows. By releasing what no longer serves you, you start to see with greater clarity those parts of yourself that had remained hidden. You may recognize behavioral patterns, limiting beliefs, or fears that you had not noticed before. And instead of judging them, you accept them. Because accepting your shadows is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of self-love. Jung taught us that shadows do not disappear simply because you ignore them. In fact, the more you repress them, the more power they have over you. But when you decide to face them, integrate them, and learn from them, something incredible happens. You become a more complete person. You no longer need to seek validation outside yourself because you have found an inner peace that no one can take away from you. This process not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but also with others. When you choose to let go, you not only free the other person, but also break the patterns that kept you trapped. And in doing so, you begin to attract relationships that truly resonate with you. People who not only accept your authenticity, but celebrate it. Relationships built on mutual respect, support, and genuine connection. At this point, it is important to remember that letting go does not mean closing your heart. It does not mean becoming insensitive or stopping loving. On the contrary, it means loving from a more authentic place, without expectations, without attachments that limit you. Jung said that true love can only flourish when both people are in touch with their own essence. And by letting go, you give yourself the opportunity to reach that level of connection. The universe, as Jung explained, is in constant dialogue with us. Synchronicities, those moments when everything seems to align, are a sign that you are on the right path. And when you release what no longer serves you, you open the door for these synchronicities to occur more frequently. It could be an unexpected opportunity, a revealing conversation, or even a deep sense of peace that fills you completely. These are the ways the universe tells you you are doing the right thing. And although this path requires courage, I assure you it is worth it. Because when you choose to let go, you are not just releasing something that no longer serves you. You are reclaiming your power. You are remembering that you are the creator of your life, that every decision you make has the potential to bring you closer to your deepest purpose. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you allowed yourself to fully let go. Think about the space you could create, the energy you could regain, the dreams you could pursue. This is not an act of loss but of gain. It is an act of reconnection with your essence, with that place within you that has always known what is best for you. In the end, letting go is not about the other person. It is about you, about your ability to trust the process, to listen to your intuition, and to align yourself with what truly resonates with you. Carl Jung showed us that true transformation does not happen outside, but within. When you allow yourself to live from that place of authenticity, you realize there is nothing to fear because everything you need to be happy is already within you. So today, I invite you to reflect. What are you ready to let go of? What could you gain if you dared to free yourself from what no longer serves you? This is your moment to step into your authenticity, to trust the process, and to allow the universe to guide you toward what you truly need. Remember, the act of letting go is not an end. It is a new beginning. It is the first step toward a fuller, more authentic life, more in tune with your purpose. And although the path may seem uncertain, trust that every step is leading you towards something far greater than you can imagine. When you choose to let go, you not only free yourself, but you also send a powerful message to the universe. You are ready for what you truly deserve. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is an act of courage. It is declaring that your peace, your authenticity, and your purpose are more important than any attachment keeping you tied to the past. And in that moment, something shifts. You begin to notice how everything around you starts to align, how the weight you carried transforms into a lightness that propels you forward. Carl Jung taught us that each of us has within us the power to create a life in harmony with our truth. That power does not lie in external things or in the relationships we try to control. It lies in our ability to release what does not serve us and open ourselves to what the universe has in store for us. And that, dear listener, is one of the deepest transformations you can experience today. I invite you to reflect on your own life. What are you carrying that no longer belongs to you? What relationships, fears, or beliefs are holding you back? Take a moment to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what could I gain if I decided to let go? The answer may surprise you. It may inspire you to take a step into the unknown. But trust in that step, it will be the beginning of something extraordinary. Let me share something with you that might completely shift your perspective. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself lost in thoughts about someone, even when you were certain you had moved on? It happens in quiet moments. When you're lying in bed at night, when a familiar song plays, or when an unexpected sense stirs an emotion you weren't prepared for. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, like a faint whisper in the back of your mind. But it lingers, persistent. Maybe you tell yourself it's just nostalgia, that it doesn't really mean anything. Maybe you try to brush it aside, burying it under distractions, hoping that one day you'll wake up and they'll be gone from your thoughts. And yet, despite all your efforts, they remain. It's almost as if their presence has nothing to do with them at all. Carl Jung believed that nothing in the unconscious mind happens randomly. Thoughts don't simply appear without reason. If someone continues resurfacing in your mind, it's because your subconscious is trying to tell you something. That person isn't just a memory. They're a symbol, a representation of something much larger than themselves. The unconscious is a vast and intricate landscape filled with every experience we've ever had, every wound, every joy, every unresolved emotion. Some things get neatly stored away, while others, especially those with real weight, find ways to resurface again and again until we finally pay attention. Maybe you believe that if you had closure, these thoughts would disappear. Maybe you think that if you distract yourself enough, you'll eventually be free. But what if I told you that the more you try to silence them, the louder they become? Jung believed that the things we resist the most are often the very things that persist, that the mind does not let go of what it still needs to understand. So, the real question isn't, why am I still thinking about them? But rather, what part of myself is being reflected in them? Because sometimes, the people who occupy our thoughts the most are not just people. They are mirrors, showing us something we have yet to recognize within ourselves. And this is where everything begins. Think about this for a moment. What if the reason you can't stop thinking about them has nothing to do with them at all? What if they are merely a reflection, an echo of something within you, something your mind is trying to make sense of? Jung believed that we don't just see people for who they are. We see them through the lens of our own experiences, wounds, and unspoken desires. In other words, We project parts of ourselves onto them, often without realizing it. Projection is one of the most powerful psychological forces shaping human relationships, influencing not only how we see others, but also how we understand ourselves. This happens when we take something buried deep within us, an insecurity, an unfulfilled need, a suppressed aspect of ourselves, and unconsciously project it onto someone else. We believe we are fixated on a person, but in reality, we are obsessed with what they represent. It's not just about them. It's about what they awaken inside us. Have you ever admired someone so intensely that you felt drawn to them in a way that seemed almost beyond your control? It could be because they embody something you have denied in yourself, some part of you that you buried, silenced, or ignored. Maybe they carry a confidence you secretly wish you had. Perhaps they live with a sense of freedom and authenticity that you long for, but have never allowed yourself to embrace. And so, your mind fixates on them, not because they hold the answers, but because they remind you of something missing within you. Then, there is the other side of projection, the shadows, the aspects of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge, the wounds we are unwilling to confront. Sometimes, the people who occupy our thoughts the longest are the ones who have hurt us the most. We replay conversations, relive the pain, analyze every detail as if searching for something we overlooked. But Jung would tell you that this fixation is not about them. It's about you. It's about the wound that was exposed, the fear that was triggered, the unresolved part of you that surfaced. And until you recognize it for what it is, your mind will keep circling back, trying to solve a puzzle it doesn't yet understand. So ask yourself, what does this person represent to you? What qualities do they possess that stir something deep inside you? What emotions do they bring to the surface? Because the truth is, the thoughts won't stop until you stop looking outward and start looking within. The person you can't stop thinking about is just a mirror, and the reflection is trying to show you something vital. And here's where it gets even deeper. Because some of these attachments, these persistent thoughts, go beyond simple projection. They are tied to something greater, something that has shaped your relationships long before you ever met this person. This is where we begin to uncover the hidden forces of archetypes, the universal patterns that dictate who we connect with and why. Not all thoughts are just thoughts. Some of them run deeper, tracing back to patterns older than you can remember. Have you ever wondered why certain people leave such a lasting impact on you, while others fade into the background without a second thought? Why some connections feel almost destined, as if they were meant to happen? Carl Jung believed that our deepest emotional bonds are not mere coincidences. He argued that these attachments are not just about the individuals themselves, but are shaped by universal patterns buried deep within the human psyche. These patterns, known as archetypes, act as invisible blueprints that influence how we perceive the world, how we love, and how we form connections. They are silent forces pulling us towards certain people while pushing us away from others. Among these, the most powerful are the anima and animus, the unconscious feminine within the male psyche, and the unconscious masculine within the female psyche. When someone keeps resurfacing in your mind, it may be because they have awakened this deep and hidden part of you. Think about the people you have felt the strongest attraction to. Do they follow a pattern? Do they share certain traits or evoke similar emotions? This is not just a random occurrence. Your unconscious mind has been shaping your attachments long before you were even aware of it. Some individuals embody the qualities you subconsciously seek, the energy that feels familiar. Others bring to the surface unresolved wounds, buried conflicts, or deep-seated fears. This is why certain people linger in our minds long after they have left our lives. It is not just their presence that affected us, but what they triggered within us. Jung believed that love and obsession often have little to do with the actual person we fixate on, and everything to do with what they represent for us. That is why some connections feel inexplicably powerful, almost mythical, as if they carry a significance beyond our understanding. And perhaps, in a way, they do. Because whether we realize it or not, we are all searching for something in others. Wholeness, understanding, healing. But there is another side to this. Sometimes, these attachments are not about what we need, but about what we lack. The people who consume our thoughts may symbolize the aspects of ourselves we have yet to embrace, the strength we have denied, the confidence we never claimed, the love we never fully gave to ourselves. Until we recognize this, our minds will continue to cling to them, try to make sense of something that was never really about them in the first place. Yet, beneath archetypes and attachments lies something even deeper: unhealed wounds, silent fears that shape our emotions, and subconscious patterns that keep us trapped in the past. Until we confront these wounds, we will remain bound to the ghosts of our own minds. Until we confront the real reason why certain people linger in our minds, we will continue searching for answers in all the wrong places. Some thoughts don't just linger. They grip us, pull us back to places we thought we had left behind. No matter how much you try to move on, it feels like an invisible force keeps you tethered, keeps you questioning, keeps you remembering. But here's something most people don't realize. The reason you can't stop thinking about them has less to do with who they are and more to do with what they triggered inside of you. Carl Jung believed that the things we try hardest to suppress are the very things that end up controlling us. These people didn't just appear in your life randomly. They awakened something that has been buried within you for a long time. Maybe it was a fear of abandonment. Maybe it was a wound of rejection. Maybe it was a deep longing for validation that you didn't even realize was still there. And when someone activates that part of you, when they bring an old wound to the surface, your mind clings to them. Not because they are special, but because your psyche is trying to heal. Think of it this way. When a physical wound is left untreated, your body keeps sending pain signals to let you know something isn't right. The same happens with emotional wounds. If you can't stop thinking about someone, it's because there is a part of you that is still hurting. Maybe they left without an explanation, and your mind keeps replaying everything, searching for closure. Maybe they made you feel unworthy, and now you're stuck in a cycle of trying to prove something, not just to them, but to yourself. Maybe they reminded you of something you've been running from for years. The mind doesn't hold on to people. It holds on to unresolved emotions, unspoken words, unfinished pain. And until you address the root of it, your thoughts will keep circling, trying to make sense of what your heart still doesn't understand. Jung would tell you that the answer isn't in obsessing over the person, but in turning inward, tracing the pain to its source, understanding why this particular wound exists, and finally giving yourself what you have been seeking from someone else. So, what is it? What is the wound beneath these thoughts? Is it a longing for connection? A fear of being forgotten? There is a part of you that you never fully reveal, a side that remains hidden even from yourself. And until you stop asking why certain people or situations won't leave your mind and start asking what within you needs healing, those thoughts will never truly fade. Here's the hard truth. Sometimes, the person you can't stop thinking about is merely a distraction from the real work that needs to be done. And that work isn't about them. It's about you. Because the moment you face the wound, the moment you realize it was never really about that person in the first place, is the moment you begin to reclaim your mind, your heart, and your sense of peace. But before you can let go, before you can truly free yourself, there is something even more powerful you must understand. The shadow. The part of you that you have been avoiding. The hidden force that shapes not just your thoughts but your entire life. There is a version of yourself you don't fully know. A side that has been pushed away, ignored, buried beneath distractions, relationships, and endless thoughts about people who should no longer matter. Carl Jung called this the shadow self, the hidden side of you made up of everything you have denied, rejected, or failed to embrace. Whether you realize it or not, this shadow is shaping your emotions, your thoughts, and yes, even your attachments to people you can't seem to forget. What if the person who won't leave your mind isn't there because you love them or because they are special, but because they are revealing something about yourself that you refuse to see? Jung believed that the relationships that affect us the most deeply, the ones that leave lasting impressions, the ones we obsess over, are often the ones that bring us face to face with our own unconscious. Sometimes, What keeps you hooked on someone is not their presence, but the way they awaken a part of you that had been hidden for far too long. Have you ever noticed how certain people evoke extreme emotions within you? One person can make you feel insecure, abandoned, unworthy, or desperate for validation. Another can make you feel alive, inspired, or as if you are finally understood. The reason they have such a powerful effect on you isn't because of who they are, it's because of what they reflect back to you. They expose something inside you, something that has always been there, waiting to be seen. Maybe the person you can't stop thinking about represents a trait you have suppressed. Perhaps they embody freedom, confidence, or emotional depth, qualities you have long suppressed within yourself. Maybe they exposed a wound you never wanted to admit was still open. This is why certain people seem to haunt us, because they force us to confront what we have been avoiding. Jung believed that unless you integrate your shadow, unless you acknowledge and accept the hidden parts of yourself, you will remain trapped in cycles of longing, attachment, and fixation. Your unconscious will continue placing mirrors in front of you, using others as reflections, until you finally recognize what it is trying to reveal. So, ask yourself, what is this person showing you about yourself? What is it about them that triggers such an intense emotional reaction in you? What part of yourself have you been unwilling to face? Because the moment you stop fixating on them and start focusing on what they represent within you, everything changes. But this is where true freedom begins. Understanding your shadow is only the first step. Once you recognize what has been hidden, you must learn to release its hold over you. And this is where the journey toward individuation begins. The path to truly reclaiming your mind, your emotions, and your sense of self. If you have come this far, you'll likely realize something profound. The person you cannot stop thinking about is not just a person. They are a symbol, a reflection, a messenger of something buried deep within you. And now that you have seen the projection, the archetypes, the wounds, and the shadow, it is time to ask the real question. How do you finally let go? Carl Jung believed that true healing comes through a process called individuation, the journey of becoming a fully integrated and self-aware individual. Individuation is not about forgetting, suppressing, or forcing yourself to move on. It is about understanding why this person held such power over you in the first place, and reclaiming that power for yourself. Letting go is not an act of resistance. It is an act of understanding. Most people try to move on by distracting themselves, jumping into another relationship, convincing themselves they no longer care. But thoughts do not vanish simply because you ignore them. If someone still occupies your mind, it means a part of you is still entangled with them. The only way to truly free yourself is to extract the lesson your unconscious is trying to teach you. Perhaps they awaken a longing within you, a desire for love, validation, or connection that you have not yet fully given yourself. Maybe they exposed a wound you never wanted to face. Maybe they embodied something you've been suppressing, a part of you that has been waiting to be acknowledged. The key to letting go is not to push these realizations away, but to integrate them. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that you projected onto them, tending to the wounds they revealed, and understanding that they were never the true source of what you were searching for. Jung would say that the reason you can't stop thinking about them is because you've unknowingly given them a part of your soul. And the only way to move forward is to call that part back to you. This is what individuation is about. Learning to be whole, to stop searching for missing pieces in someone else, and instead find them within yourself. So, instead of asking, why can't I stop thinking about them? Ask yourself, what part of me do I need to reclaim? Instead of forcing yourself to forget, seek to understand. Instead of waiting for closure, create it within yourself. The moment you stop seeing them as the answer, the moment you realize that the power to move on has always been in your hands, that is the moment their presence in your mind begins to fade. And this is where everything shifts, because you are no longer lost in the illusion that someone else holds the key to your peace. Now, you see the truth. The person you were searching for was never them. It was always you. There comes a moment when you understand that your thoughts are no longer about them. The memories, the longing, the unanswered questions, they were never really about that person at all. They were breadcrumbs leading you back to yourself. Carl Jung showed us that what lingers in our minds is a reflection of what lingers in our souls. And the moment you stop chasing ghosts and start embracing the lesson, the weight begins to lift. You were never haunted by them. They were calling you to heal. And now, you know exactly what you need to do. It's time to set yourself free. The path to inner peace and self-discovery is not an easy one, but it is the most rewarding journey you will ever take. It requires courage, patience, and above all, a willingness to confront what lies within. Emotional detachment is not about losing yourself. It is about reclaiming yourself. It is about understanding that your past does not define you, that your pain does not own you, and that you have the power to rewrite your story at any moment. Think about it. Every time you hold on to something that no longer serves you, you are carrying extra weight that slows you down, that drains your energy, that keeps you from evolving into the person you are meant to be. Imagine how liberating it would feel to let go, not as an act of abandonment, but as an act of self-love. Imagine standing tall, free from the burdens of the past, fully embracing the present, and walking with confidence toward your future. Jung believed that every challenge, every struggle, and every painful experience is a doorway to transformation. Nothing in life happens by accident. Every person you meet, every obstacle you face, every emotion that rises within you is part of a greater plan designed to help you grow. The universe is constantly giving you opportunities to heal, to evolve, and to step into your highest potential. But the question is, will you take those opportunities? Will you dare to face your shadows and emerge stronger, wiser, and more at peace than ever before? The moment you choose to release what no longer serves you, something magical happens. You create space for new beginnings. You open yourself up to possibilities you never imagined, to experiences that align with your true self, and to a life that feels lighter, more fulfilling, and deeply meaningful. True freedom comes not from avoiding pain, but from transforming it. And when you do, you don't just change your own life. You inspire others to do the same. So today, I invite you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what are you ready to let go of? What emotions, beliefs, or attachments have been keeping you stuck? And most importantly, what kind of life do you want to create for yourself once you free yourself from those chains? If this message resonated with you, if you feel that you are ready to take the next step toward your personal growth, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. Here, we explore the depths of the mind, the secrets of the universe, and the wisdom of great thinkers like Carl Jung, so that together we can unlock our fullest potential. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and turn on the notifications so you never miss an episode. Remember, your transformation starts now. The power is already within you. All you have to do is embrace it. See you in the next video. Have you ever wondered what happens inside you when you decide to walk away from someone? I'm not just talking about the physical moment when you create distance, but about that profound act of freeing yourself from what no longer resonates with you, from what, in some way, has been holding you back. Carl Jung, a visionary of the human mind, left us teachings that illuminate this process and transform it into something greater, something deeply significant. Walking away isn't simply saying goodbye. It's much more than that. It's an act of courage, a declaration to the universe that you are ready to prioritize your peace, your authenticity, and your true self. But taking that step doesn't come without challenges. Deep within your unconscious, a transformation begins to take shape. It's as if something inside you awakens and whispers, "It's time." And although this decision can feel liberating, it also brings doubts, fears, and sometimes a momentary loneliness that seems hard to bear. Jung taught us that these emotions are not mere coincidences. They are reflections of a much bigger process, a dialogue between who you believe you are and who you truly are. When you decide to walk away, you are breaking a pattern, severing a connection that may have been feeding aspects of yourself that you'd rather not confront. But here lies the true power of this decision. When you choose to distance yourself from what drains you, you're not just gaining space. You're creating the conditions for something far better to flourish in your life. Have you noticed how, after walking away from certain people, you begin to feel a peace you didn't even realize you needed? It's as if, by letting go of that relationship, you also release a weight you had unknowingly been carrying. What you might not realize is that this act also profoundly impacts those on the other side. Your departure, no matter how simple it may seem, can be an earthquake in their internal world. Jung would call it a moment of confrontation, a mirror reflecting truths that many would rather ignore. That is the magic and the challenge of these kinds of decisions. When you walk away, you're not just choosing for yourself. You're leaving a mark on others, a conscious or unconscious call for them to look within. And here's the secret. Not everyone will be ready to face it. Some will try to hold on to you, manipulate you, make you feel guilty. But remember, that doesn't speak about you. It speaks about their own shadows, their own fears of losing control or facing what your departure represents. The hardest part about walking away isn't the physical distance. It's the emptiness that remains. That space that used to be filled with conversations, shared energy, and habits that, though toxic, still felt familiar. Jung taught that emptiness is not something to be feared. On the contrary, it is a sacred place, a blank canvas where we can rebuild, rediscover, and most importantly, reconnect with our most authentic essence. The real challenge is resisting the temptation to fill that void immediately. Because let's be honest, it's easier to seek a new relationship, a new circle, or even any distraction rather than face yourself. But this is where transformation happens. Jung teaches us that by confronting that emptiness, we discover who we truly are. It is an uncomfortable process, yes, but also profoundly liberating. When you take that step and walk away, you're not just creating physical distance. What's truly happening is that you're drawing a line between what you deserve and what you have allowed until now. It is a revolutionary act for your soul, a clear message to your unconscious that says, my needs matter, my peace matters, my truth matters. But this message isn't just heard by you. Others feel it too, especially those you are walking away from. They won't always understand it. In fact, their reaction will often be to cling to you, not because they need you, but because you force them to face something they'd rather not see. Jung called this projection. Everything we refuse to accept about ourselves, we project onto others. So, when you choose to let go, your decision becomes a mirror. It reflects their own insecurities, fears, and voids. It is not you who wounds them. It is their own internal struggle becoming more visible. Your absence. This is where inner work becomes crucial. Because while they deal with their projections, you also face your own. It's easy to fall into guilt, into the fear of having made the wrong decision. But Jung would remind us that this is a moment for introspection, to observe your own patterns and discover which parts of yourself have been silenced, repressed, or even sacrificed in those relationships. Often, what we fear most is not the distance itself, but what we uncover about ourselves when we take it. Because the truth is this, we don't always choose to surround ourselves with the best people for our well-being. Sometimes, we attract what we believe we deserve at that moment, what resonates with our deepest wounds. And when you decide to walk away, you're breaking not just a bond with someone else, but also with those wounds that have shaped your choices until now. Have you ever felt that mix of relief and uncertainty after letting go of a relationship? That's your psyche adjusting, reorganizing, finding a new balance. According to Jung, this process is like a symbolic death. You let a part of yourself die, the part that was trapped in old patterns, to make way for a rebirth. And though it's painful, it's also profoundly transformative. In the emptiness that remains, you begin to notice something magical. New ideas, new interests, and most importantly, new people start entering your life. People who don't demand that you change, who don't try to mold you, but who accept you exactly as you are. These connections that seem to appear out of nowhere aren't coincidences. Jung would call them synchronicities, signs that you are aligned with your essence, that you are on the right path. But here's the key. For these synchronicities to occur, you must be willing to let go completely. Not just physically, but also emotionally and energetically. You must stop looking back. Stop trying to justify your decision or seek external validation. Because the truth is, you don't need others to understand your choice. It is enough that you understand it, that you recognize you are choosing your well-being over any external expectation. As you move forward, something profound begins to change within you. That inner voice that once whispered now starts to speak with more clarity. You become more aware of your boundaries, of what you truly value, and of what you are no longer willing to compromise. This doesn't mean you become insensitive or selfish. It means you begin to prioritize from a place of self-love, from a place where you understand that taking care of yourself is not just necessary, but essential. The impact of this transformation is not limited to you. The people who remain in your life feel it too. Your authenticity, your clarity, and your renewed energy inspire those who are ready to grow with you. And those who are not, they simply drift away. Not because you reject them, but because they no longer resonate with the person you are becoming. When you start living from this place of authenticity, something incredible happens. Your energy shifts, and with it, everything around you. Jung spoke of the power of aligning with your true self, of connecting with what he called the self, the deepest, most authentic part that lives within all of us. When you decide to prioritize yourself, you are sending a clear signal to the universe. I am ready to receive what I truly deserve. This alignment not only attracts the right people, but also filters out everything that is not in harmony with you. It's as if life itself begins to work in your favor. The relationships that once seemed impossible to leave behind start to fade, not with conflict, but with a peace that once felt unattainable. It is at that moment when you realize that the greatest gift you can give yourself is allowing yourself to be who you truly are. But how can you recognize if you are living authentically? Jung would tell us that an authentic life is not measured by how many people accept or approve of you, but by how you feel about yourself at the end of the day. If you are surrounded by people who constantly make you feel like you need to change, that you are not enough, or that you have to hide parts of yourself to fit in, that is a clear sign that something is out of alignment. The real challenge lies in learning to let go with love, not with resentment. Letting go does not mean rejecting or despising others. It means being grateful for what was, acknowledging what you learned, and understanding that sometimes the greatest act of love you can offer is to release. Release others from your expectations, and free yourself from the weight of relationships that no longer nourish you. In this process, it is normal for doubts to arise. We have been taught that distancing ourselves can be selfish or insensitive, but Jung had a different perspective. For him, taking care of your soul, your psyche, is not just it is a responsibility. If you are not well with yourself, how can you expect to give your best to others? If your energy is drained, if your light dims from trying to sustain relationships that do not nurture you, then you are not truly living. You are merely surviving. There is incredible power in recognizing your own boundaries. Jung described it as an act of integration. It is not about building walls, but about creating bridges where there was once chaos. It is about understanding that saying no is not an act of rejection, but one of affirmation. You affirm who you are, what you value, and what you need to flourish. And when you do, something beautiful happens. The people who truly matter, those meant to walk alongside you, understand this. They do not try to change or hold you back. They support you, celebrate you, and grow with you. Of course, not everyone will be ready to accept your transformation. There will be those who question your decisions, those who try to make you doubt yourself. But this is where true strength lies, in not allowing external opinions to dictate your path. Jung taught us that the only approval that truly matters is the one that comes from your own heart, because, at the end of the day, you are the one who lives with the consequences of your choices, not others. As you continue forward, you begin to notice that life feels lighter. You no longer feel the need to explain your decisions or justify your choices. You simply live, trusting that the path you are building is the right one for you. This level of confidence does not arise overnight. It is the result of deep inner work, of facing your shadows, listening to your intuition, and consciously choosing what elevates your soul. The true gift of this process is not just the peace you find, but also the freedom, a freedom that goes beyond external circumstances. It is the freedom to be yourself, to live without fear, to embrace every part of you, even those you once considered imperfect or inadequate. Because when you integrate all parts of yourself, you realize that you do not need to be perfect to be whole. You are already enough just as you are. This transformation does not only change how you see yourself, but also how you relate to the world. When you choose to let go of what no longer resonates with you, you are making room for new things to arrive, healthier relationships, unexpected opportunities, and, most importantly, a deeper sense of purpose. Carl Jung would say that you are allowing the unconscious to work in your favor, synchronizing your life with the possibilities that were always there, but that you could not see because you were trapped in patterns that kept you from moving forward. Have you noticed how, when you let go of something that once seemed essential, things start falling into place in ways you never imagined? It's as if the universe responds to your decision to release, sending you signals, people, and experiences that validate your new path. This is not a coincidence. Jung called it synchronicity, the mysterious connection between external events and your inner world. It is proof that when you align with your essence, everything around you also begins to align. However, this does not mean the journey will always be easy. There will be days when you feel nostalgia, doubt, and even fear that you made the wrong decision. But these feelings are not signs that you should turn back. They are part of the reconstruction process. It's like remodeling a house. First, you have to tear down walls, face the dust and chaos before you can create a new and beautiful space. Jung would remind us that this chaos is not something to fear. It is a fertile ground where true transformation can take root. When you decide to prioritize something deeper, something begins to unfold. Your dreams, the ones you may have buried, start resurfacing. Maybe you always wanted to pursue something you were passionate about, but the expectations of others led you down a different path. Or perhaps you felt that you weren't good enough to chase your goals. This is the moment when those limiting beliefs begin to crumble. Because by letting go of what doesn't belong to you, you are also releasing the fears and doubts that others projected onto you. One fascinating thing Jung taught is that the unconscious doesn't just store our shadows and fears. It also holds our greatest potential. Within you, there are talents, ideas, and abilities you have yet to explore. Not because they don't exist, but because you hadn't created the space for them to emerge. When you choose to live in alignment with your authenticity, those parts of you start to manifest in ways you never imagined. It's as if by releasing the old, you are igniting a light that illuminates everything that was once hidden. This process also teaches you something valuable. You don't have to do it alone. Jung deeply believed in human connection and how our relationships can be a source of support and growth. But these connections must be genuine, built on mutual respect and acceptance of who you truly are. When you surround yourself with people who celebrate your authenticity instead of trying to change you, you discover the true power of human relationships. It's important to remember that this journey is not about eliminating everyone from your life. It's about discernment, about consciously choosing who aligns with you and who does not. The relationships that truly matter are the ones where you can be yourself. Without fear, without pretense, without feeling like you have to prove your worth. Jung said that authentic relationships not only nourish our soul, but also push us to grow, expand, and become the best version of ourselves. As you move forward, you will realize something powerful. The peace you were searching for outside has always been within you. You don't need others to complete you, because you are already whole. You don't need external validation, because your worth does not depend on anyone's opinion. This is the greatest gift you can give yourself. The freedom to be who you are, without asking for permission, without apologies, without fear. Maintaining this authenticity in your daily life may seem challenging, especially when the world around you operates on superficiality, expectations, and conformity. But here's the key. Living authentically does not mean being perfect or having all the answers. It means choosing each day to align with who you truly are, even in the midst of uncertainty and external pressures. Jung taught us that the greatest enemy of our authenticity is not others. It is our own shadows, those parts of ourselves we fear to face, the ones we have repressed because they don't fit the image we want to project. But here lies the true power. When you begin to integrate those shadows, they no longer control you. Instead of sabotaging you, they become a source of wisdom and strength. A clear example of this is how we react to the judgment of others. When you live from your authenticity, there will inevitably be people who don't understand it or even criticize you. But those criticisms can only affect you if they touch something within you that you haven't accepted. If you've made peace with your shadows, those words lose their power. Not because you've become insensitive, but because you recognize that what others say about you has more to do with them than with you. The next step on this journey is learning to set boundaries. This doesn't mean closing your heart or distancing yourself from everyone, but rather being clear about what you allow in your life. Carl Jung said that our relationships are a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. If others treat you with disdain or make you feel less than, it's a sign that there are still parts of you that need love and acceptance. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of respect, both for yourself and for others. Imagine your energy as a garden. Every relationship, every interaction, is a seed you plant. Some seeds bloom, bringing beauty and joy into your life, while others can turn into weeds, draining your energy and robbing you of space to grow. Learning to tend to your inner garden is essential to maintaining your authenticity. This means surrounding yourself with people who nourish your soul, who celebrate your growth, and who are willing to walk with you, not behind or ahead, but by your side. Another crucial aspect is listening to your intuition. In our society, this inner power is often underestimated, but Jung considered it one of the most valuable tools for navigating life. Your intuition is that quiet voice that guides you toward what is true for you. Sometimes it manifests as a sense of peace. Other times, as a subtle discomfort that warns you when something is out of alignment. Listening to it requires practice and trust, but the more you do, the stronger it becomes. Authenticity also connects you with your purpose. Jung believed that we all have a unique calling, something only we can bring to the world. But to discover it, you need to free yourself from distractions, from the expectations of others, and from the limiting beliefs you accumulated throughout your life. When you do, you begin to notice patterns in the things that ignite your passion, in the moments that make you feel truly alive, and in the ideas you can't ignore. That is the universe speaking to you, showing you your path. As you progress in this process, you'll notice a subtle but profound shift in how you experience life. The small things that once went unnoticed start to hold deeper meaning. A conversation with a friend, a moment of peace in nature, even an unexpected challenge. These moments become opportunities to grow, to learn, and to connect with yourself and others. It's as if everything in your life suddenly takes on a new sense of purpose. This transformation also has a greater impact than you might imagine. When you choose to live from your authenticity, you inspire others to do the same. You don't need to give speeches or convince anyone. Your example is enough. The people around you will begin to notice the change in you, your clarity, your peace, your renewed energy. And while not everyone will be ready to follow your path, some will be. You will be a light in their lives, proof that it's possible to live with purpose and fulfillment. When you live from your authenticity, a shift occurs in the dynamics of your relationships. You no longer seek others' approval to validate who you are. Instead, you become someone who naturally inspires respect and admiration, not because you seek it, but because your energy radiates confidence, clarity, and peace. Carl Jung would say this happens because you have integrated what he called the self, that essential core of your being that harmonizes your conscious and unconscious mind. As this integration deepens, You begin to see the world with new eyes. The experiences that once disturbed you lose their grip on you. Instead of feeling trapped in external conflicts, you start seeking the inner lessons that each situation brings. It's a subtle but transformative shift. You stop reacting to life and begin responding from a place of calm and wisdom. This new perspective does not mean that life becomes perfect or that challenges disappear. In fact, sometimes these challenges intensify because living from your truth inevitably leads you to question systems, relationships, and structures you once took for granted. Jung taught us that this process is like clearing away what no longer serves to make space for something more authentic and aligned with you. Something fascinating is how the people around you react to this transformation. Some will be drawn to your renewed energy, seeking to understand how you have achieved that peace you now radiate. But others might feel uncomfortable because your authenticity confronts them with the areas of their own lives they have neglected. This is not something you should take as a personal attack. On the contrary, it is a sign that your process is generating a profound impact, even beyond what you can see. At this point, maintaining your focus becomes crucial. The external noise can be tempting. People trying to convince you to change, to go back, to reconsider your decisions. But this is where your connection with your intuition, that inner compass that never fails, becomes your greatest ally. Jung said that intuition is not just an instinct. It is the voice of your unconscious guiding you toward what is in harmony with your true purpose. As you move forward on this path, you will likely begin to notice a curious phenomenon. The doors that once seemed closed start to open. New opportunities, connections, and experiences begin to flow toward you with an ease that once seemed impossible. This is neither magic nor coincidence. It is a result of living in alignment with yourself. When you stop fighting against what does not resonate and start acting from your authenticity, you create an energetic field that attracts what you need to thrive. It is important to remember that this journey is not linear. There will be days when you feel strong and unstoppable, and others when doubts return. But even in those moments, remember that the simple act of choosing yourself is already an act of bravery. You do not need to have all the answers today. The only thing you need is the willingness to keep walking, to keep exploring, and to keep trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. Over time, you will realize that this transformation has not only changed your life, but also the lives of those around you. Your relationships begin to reflect the quality of your energy. Those who remain by your side do so because they are aligned with you, not because they need something from you. And those who drift away are not a loss but a release, a reminder that not everything or everyone is meant to stay with you forever. As this journey toward your authenticity progresses, you realize something essential. What you once considered chaos, you now see as a necessary part of your growth. The relationships you let go of, the situations you left behind, and the challenges you faced were not obstacles, but lessons that prepared you to be who you are now. Carl Jung said that life is not about avoiding suffering, but about finding meaning in every experience, even in the most difficult moments, and that is exactly what you are doing by choosing your truth. This path not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but also with the world around you. When you decide to live from your authenticity, you become a beacon, an inspiration for others. You may not notice it at first, but there are people watching your evolution. People who need that reminder that it is also possible for them. Your courage in choosing yourself shows them that there is another path. One where peace and purpose are not distant dreams, but achievable realities. And this is where your impact expands. Every decision you make, every step you take towards your authenticity, creates a ripple effect. It will inspire others to reflect, to question themselves, and perhaps to make their own transformative decisions. That is the beauty of this journey. It not only changes your life, but also touches the lives of those around you in profound and meaningful ways. Now, I want to invite you to take the next step. If this message resonated with you, if something within you stirred while listening to these words, do not ignore it. This could be the beginning of a change that transforms your life. But you do not have to do it alone. Share this video with someone who you feel needs to hear it. Someone searching for answers or struggling with similar doubts. Never underestimate the power of a word, an idea, or a message shared at the right moment. It could be exactly what that person needs to take a turn on their path. Let me know which part of this message touched you the most. What reflection stayed with you? What decision are you ready to make? Leave your comment below. I want to read your story, your thoughts, your dreams. Your words not only inspire me to continue creating content like this, but they also help this message reach more people. Our community is what keeps this conversation alive, what amplifies this message and brings it to those who need it most. If you have not yet done so, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any of our upcoming videos. Every interaction, every comment, and every subscription is not just support for the channel. It is a way to expand this message and build a community where knowledge and authenticity are at the center. Together, we can create a space where more people discover their true potential and find the tools to live in alignment with their truth. Change begins with you, but it does not end there. Every small act, every decision, has the power to transform not only your life, but also the world around you. Thank you for being here, for listening, and most of all, for taking the first step toward the life you have always deserved. See you in the next video. Be authentic, be brave, and never stop seeking your truth.